big health concerns for residents in the borderland, from water contamination in Anthony to another alert in Tornillo. Also,
it's a very intriguing development, and that raises the very serious question about the other pilot. What was he doing? Was he committing suicide?
New developments in the deadly Germanwings plane crash. Why was the pilot locked outside of the cockpit?
And severe storms turn deadly in Oklahoma. We have your complete Storm Track weather coverage.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
This is what people in Arkansas are waking up to this morning. Damage left behind as tornado season returned with a vengeance.
Tornadoes also touched down in Oklahoma, wiping out homes and ripping off roofs. We'll continue our coverage on this coming up in just a bit. But first, we want to talk about our winds. Not too damaging, just a little light out there. This is a live look outside this Thursday morning.
And you can see that everything looks nice, of course, from a distance, but we are expecting things to pick up out there as the day progresses. Good morning, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Florin. Good morning, everyone. Let's get straight to meteorologist Crystal Cly and talk about our wind out there this morning. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. Yeah, you know, the forecast called for windy conditions through the morning, and that's exactly what we're seeing. A cool front passed early this morning. That's bringing up those wind gusts through the morning hours. Notice we're reporting 24-mile-per-hour winds at the Greater El Paso landfill near Clint, 11 miles per hour at the Tech H2O Center with a temperature of 46 degrees there. Here at the KVIA studios, winds are reporting calm, but sometimes we have issues with our WeatherNet sites, and I believe this is not reporting accurately. Just a bit ago, winds were reporting between that 10 to 20 mile per hour range, and that does seem a little more accurate. Now, those winds are going to dip as we move into the afternoon. We're just talking breezy later today, so the forecast will be getting better, but temperatures will be remaining cooler than they have been thanks to that cold front. I'll explain coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Crystal, thank you. We want to remind you that TxDOT is asking you to pay attention and slow down because a lot of changes are coming up. For the next 4 years or so, the city's freeways are going to be a mess. We're looking at scheduled projects on the east and west sides of town, plus construction on a lot of other major roads. Just last summer, 2 TxDOT workers were hit and killed by an alleged drunk driver at the construction site of Spur 1966 near UTEP. So just be aware and slow down when entering a construction zone.
And now, speaking of construction zones, all lanes of I-10 west at Yarborough were closed overnight. They're scheduled to open at 6 a.m. And as you can see, that's already happened. It happened earlier this morning, so no problems this morning if you're heading out on the east side.
We have a warning for those of you living in Tornillo. Residents are being told to boil their water before drinking or cooking with it. Francilia Vega with the Tornillo Water District tells us a water sample tested positive for an unspecified bacteria. More tests are being conducted, and those results are expected by tomorrow. You're asked to boil any water used for consumption until further notice. Of course, we will update you as soon as we learn any new information.
Contaminated water in Anthony, New Mexico is also causing concern this morning. This after testing shows the groundwater around dairies has higher levels of nitrates and solid waste. The plan discussed at a hearing yesterday is to cut off the source of the pollution and let the contaminants dissipate over time. The dairy owners say they're happy to move forward and have already put some measures in place. But residents want more done now. We could know in about 2 months what the state plans to do about the contamination problem. Another public hearing scheduled for this morning at 8:30 a.m. at the Anthony, New Mexico City Hall. And now to the latest on that German plane that crashed in the Alps. There are reports that one of the pilots of the plane was actually locked out of the cockpit, desperately trying to get back in. Rescue teams are on the ground this morning searching for more clues. ABC's Molly Hunter is there and has the very latest.
This morning, the hundreds of rescue workers and investigators are again being ferried to the crash scene, some dropping in from helicopters. Overnight, the New York Times reporting that dramatic revelation from the cockpit voice recorder. Authorities saying they heard voices, one of the 2 pilots leaving the cockpit, unable to get in during that deadly 8-minute descent before the plane smashed into the mountain. The Times quotes an investigator saying you can hear he is trying to smash down the door, but there's no response from the pilot inside the cockpit.
The 2 main possibilities, if this is true, One, was there a medical condition to the pilot who was actually in the cockpit? Did he have an emergency and start the descent and then have this medical condition? The other possibility is pilot suicide. Could he have locked out the other pilot and decided that he wanted to take his own life and that of the passengers?
In the U.S., pilots are not left alone in the cockpit. If one leaves, a flight attendant takes that spot. This new information adding to the mystery as the families mourn the 150 people on board, including 3 Americans. Virginians Yvonne Selke and her daughter Emily traveling together. Emily, a recent college graduate. Their family calling them, quote, 2 wonderful, caring people who meant so much to so many. And the German town of Haltern, gripped by pain, anguish, tears, and flowers for those 16 high schoolers and 2 teachers lost in the crash. Today, families from Haltern will be here in France to see the recovery efforts firsthand. Today, recovery workers will have to carve a new path up at that mountain crash site, and while crash investigators say the on-site investigation will only take a week, it could be many more weeks until we have a complete picture of what brought that plane down. Molly Hunter, ABC News, Seine-les-Alpes, France.
A heads up, El Paso water utility customers, your water bill will have an extra charge come next month. The Public Service Board voted yesterday to pass a franchise fee to all customers, not just businesses. That means starting in April, residential customers will see an increase of $1.94 on their bill. That's about $23 more a year. At first, the PSB charged only non-residential customers to pay for the fee, but the utility officials say they now believe that's unfair. The PSB will reevaluate how it charges non-residential users depending on their water meter costs. Businesses that have been paying the fee since September will also get a refund for the amount they paid. And other people expecting to see an increase on their bills, students at El Paso Community College. The Board of Trustees voted to increase tuition for the 2015 fall semester. This is the second increase just this year after the school increased rates for the spring semester. So here's how it will break down for the fall. Resident students will pay $5 more per credit hour, and non-resident students will pay $7 more. EPCC's Associate Vice President for Financial Services tells ABC7, despite increasing enrollment, the state has not been funding EPCC. He says the lack of that state funding could result in a $4 million shortfall.
The state-mandated tests for schools all across Texas is almost here.
And some schools in the borderland are doing a little something extra to get those students ready. Good morning, El Paso's Luke Liddon is live with more. Luke?
Hillary, Stephanie, the STAR test began on March 30th, and it stands for State of Texas Assessments of Academic Readiness. But 3 SISD schools are boosting the children's confidence before the test by hosting pep rallies. Robert R. Rojas Elementary, Myrtle Cooper Elementary, and Socorro Middle School are all encouraging students to have fun with the upcoming test. Even Chico the Chihuahua will be at one of the pep rallies. Students will play various games, and even prizes will be given out to teachers and students with the most school spirit. Some tips for students to do well on the test include getting plenty of sleep the night before, eat a healthy breakfast the morning of the test, and parents should talk with their children about what they should expect for the test and how it really isn't that different from other tests. And of course, celebrate once the testing is finished and again when you receive your scores. Those pep rallies begin this morning at 8 and 9 a.m. and the STAR test begin March 30th and last until April 1st. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Luke. From kindergarten all the way to high school.
Special students in the Socorro district got to show what they're made of in the 8th annual James Butler Games. We have a recap.
Also, a late start to the tornado season ended very violently in Oklahoma overnight. We have your Storm Track weather coverage.
And what can we expect back here in the borderland? Meteorologist Crystal Klein has your detailed forecast.
We're going to be tracking those wind speeds through this morning coming up right after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC7, where news comes first.
Welcome back at 6:10. The spring tornado season is in full swing, and a deadly storm swept through the Plain States, including a small town now dealing with its 3rd tornado in 16 years. ABC's Bazi Kanani has our Storm Track weather coverage.
What's left this morning is a heartbreaking mess for the first victims of this year's tornado season.
Looks like her roof over there, and what's left of my roof up there and my patio cover.
The dangerous storm exploding Wednesday over Oklahoma.
See that right there? That's more power flashes.
Punishing winds and pounding hail. Camera after camera capturing the ominous threat, those rotating clouds turning into full-scale tornadoes, wiping out nearly this entire mobile home community in Sandy Springs, where emergency crews helped evacuate children in the aftermath. A close call for hundreds.
My daddy was in the kitchen, the roof fell in on him, but I was in the bedroom.
60 people were inside this collapsed gymnasium. All are okay, and so is the grateful driver of this overturned pickup.
I'm very fortunate. I hung upside down until somebody got here.
At least one person did not survive, and many are left injured in the tornado season's first blast. There are still thousands without power this morning, but the severe weather threat in the heartland is over for now. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Washington.
And now we're talking about our weather forecast. Thankfully, we don't see anything that severe in our forecast, but we are dealing with some winds.
Yeah, and those winds really going to be the only issue with the forecast. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty good day ahead of us. Let's start off by talking about those temperatures. 47 what we're at in El Paso and 40 Las Cruces. Now, if that sounds a little cooler in some areas than it was yesterday, that's because it is. The reason for it, the cold front passing by. That cold front giving us temperatures that are at 41 TRC, 45 Deming, and 27 cold this morning in Ruidoso. On your regional wind speed map, winds are up, although at the El Paso Las Cruces locations, it's not actually showing in the numbers at those 3 to 6 mile-per-hour values. 10 miles per hour, Ruidoso, 39, nice and windy Guadalupe Pass, and 15 mile-per-hour winds reporting in Deming. Now remember, this is just one reporting location. Most of us are seeing winds 10 to 20 miles per hour around parts of El Paso County, with gusts up to 35 miles per hour possible, specifically along west mountain sides. That doesn't mean that just because you're on the east side does not mean you won't see gusty conditions. The higher gusts are just picking up from that side. On your hourly windcast, we're looking at wind gusts 35 to 30 miles per hour through this morning. Still windy to breezy by around your lunchtime, dropping off to breezy gusts of 25 by 1 p.m. and gusts 24 to 7 p.m. Winds overnight just 15 miles per hour, so overnight actually the forecast looking fairly nice in terms of your winds. On your clouds and radar map, clear sky conditions outside this morning across the entire area. That cold front that dropped on in, not really affecting us in terms of any rain or cloud coverage. National Weather Service did just send out a little memo letting us know some light rain fell over the Sacramento Mountains, although radar really not showing that off here. Other than that, the cold front was fairly dry. If we zoom out, you can see there's just no activity going on in the southwest. We are clear from California, Nevada, all the way through to Utah, Colorado, even into some of the central parts of the U.S. clear sky conditions. But then there's that line hitting Houston, Dallas, moving farther east of storm activity moving through with the potential for some of that more severe weather, which does include high winds, hail possibility, and even tornadic potential. The next 4 days of weather here in the borderland, we're below average for our temperature today. 67 our forecast, 73 is the average. Tomorrow we're back to above average, 77, and by Saturday well above average, 84 degrees the forecast temperature. Our average by Sunday, 74, still nearly there, a 10-degree difference, actually even more so as we move into Sunday. So big difference in the actual temperature and the average temperature by your weekend. Here's the El Paso forecast today, 67 down to 42, clear overnight. Las Cruces the same at 67, windy and sunny. Tonight, though, down to 39 degrees. And on your 7-day forecast, those winds drop off Friday into your weekend as we continue to warm up to those 80s. Next week, we do see a slight chance of rain in the forecast, and temperatures do return to the 70s.
All right. Thanks, Crystal. El Paso is just one of the cities in Texas with a texting while driving ban.
But can that now become a statewide law? What the Texas House is considering. It's 6:15.
Welcome back. A security app on a cell phone is giving police a look at a suspected robber. El Paso police say this man held up another man at a convenience store along Airway on the east side. When the victim was unable to give him money, well, the suspect took his cell phone and fled towards Cielo Vista Mall. But a security app installed on the phone managed to take this photo when the suspect tried unlocking it. So now police are asking if anyone can help identify him. He's described as mid-20s, Hispanic, and about 5'6". If you know who he is, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 566-8477. And a Las Cruces man is behind bars this morning after police say he held his ex-girlfriend and her 2 children hostage in their apartment. The SWAT team eventually took Santana Jaramillo into custody Tuesday. Police say the mother told Jaramillo that she was going to get him breakfast, but instead went to police. She and the children are okay this morning.
A statewide ban on texting while driving past the Texas house, but it still faces a tough road ahead. The bill would allow police to pull over drivers they suspect are using a wireless device to read or write a text message unless the vehicle is stopped. In 2011, a similar bill was vetoed by then Governor Rick Perry, who thought the bill was too intrusive. Governor Greg Abbott says it's too early to say whether he will veto the ban. Critics of the bill say it's unnecessary because several cities already ban texting while driving, including El Paso. New this morning, one of the 10 fastest growing areas in the nation is located in southeastern New Mexico. New data released from the U.S. Census Bureau shows the Hobbs area saw a population increase of more than 2% between July 2013 and July 2014. The region includes part of the Permian Basin, which has seen the number of barrels of oil produced each day more than double over the last several years. The boom has led to housing shortages and more traffic throughout southeastern New Mexico. And speaking of traffic, taking a look at our TxDOT traffic cameras, traffic has picked up over on the east side at I-10 and Yarborough. You can see lots of headlights as people are getting onto the freeway to head to work or school this morning.
Nice still shot out there too. Even though we felt some breezes when we walked in this morning, it wasn't exactly still out there.
Definitely, and Crystal is standing by to let us know it's not going to stay very still out there either.
Yeah, you know what, those winds are still persisting this morning. Our highest gust did hit overnight with the cold front moving through, and then through this morning we expect them to last. Gusts into the 30s possible. Today our temperatures in the afternoon, while winds will start to weaken, temperatures will warm, just not as much as they have been doing. We are looking at 69 in Deming and 64 in Sierra Blanca, 61 Guadalupe Pass, and 55 in Ruidoso. Then tonight we're looking at 34 in Ruidoso, 38 Deming, and 39 at the pass with clear sky conditions. We'll check it on your 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, thanks so much, Crystal. Thousands of bowlers descending upon El Paso for the USBC Open Championship.
But what do they do when they're not bowling?
We checked out a few things yesterday, went to the White Sands.
What have you done while you're here?
Not much.
Right now we're drinking. We're finna go down to Sunland to the racetrack and do a little gambling.
We'll talk about more suggestions that El Pasoans are giving. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back. It's 6:23. Hundreds of Special Olympians in the Socorro School District took part in the 8th annual James Butler Games. Kindergarten through 12th graders got to be the champions that we all already know they are.
The inspiration behind the games is to help students participate in a way that they don't necessarily get to participate on the campus in the classroom. So this is an event that helps celebrate their other abilities.
All the participants were rewarded with applause and hugs, and they each left with a medal. These students serve an inspiration that no matter what impediments we may have, they should not stop us from getting out there and trying. And now let's talk about the largest event that the Sun City has ever hosted. The USBC Open Championship will be attracting more than 60,000 people to the city this spring and summer. But we wanted to know, what will they be doing when they aren't at the lanes? Well, about 1,000 bowlers a day are taking part in the competition at the Downtown Convention Center. Most are in town for 3 to 4 days on average, but only bowl for 6 to 7 hours. Most bowlers we spoke with say they've been out to visit Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino, and they've also done several different tourist sites downtown and visited restaurants. Visit El Paso has an app that bowlers are being urged now to download. It has suggestions for 1 hour, 2 hour, half day, and even all day trips around the borderland. So let's go to Stephanie now for what some of you are recommending that these bowlers do.
Yeah, Hillary, from food, of course, to the Plaza Theater. Here are what some of you think is worth checking out. Javier tells us Ruidoso, White Sands, Old Mesilla, the Missions, drive through the old highway to Las Cruces. Ramiro suggests the classic Chico's Tacos. And from Bill Weiler, Tramway, Chico's Tacos, and the Plaza Theater. Eric telling us the Tramway, Casa de Torta, and Bel Sucre. Everett says Wawa's game, crawl the wine trail up New Mexico 28, hitting Chupis for dinner, and go up the Tramway. Mark advises go to Chaparral for some fun.
All those suggestions make me want to get out and do something, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
That makes me want Chopies crazy.
Me too.
God, Chico's
always.
Tacos is what I want right now. All I have to do is say it and I want it.
Or a Wawa's game. I like that, right?
Let's talk about the 7-day forecast now. Conditions today, windy to start your morning, breezy in the afternoon. Actually going to be a pretty good day, but we've got to get through those morning conditions first. It's chilly out there also, temps in the 40s, and then as we move into the afternoon, 67 our high. Tomorrow we start warming up again, 77 Friday. Look at that weekend, mid-80s Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Thanks, Crystal. And keep it here for a check of your headlines this morning.
In a couple of months, new trustees will take the helm of the El Paso School District. What the Board of Managers is doing to prep them.
Also, we have the latest on the deadly plane crash in the Alps. Investigators are stumped as to why the pilot was locked out of the cockpit.
And new developments in the case of a woman giving fake butt injections to Texas women. One of them died. We'll be right back.